First of all, thank you so much for everybody who's participating and everybody who came out here today. We're so excited to be in Calgary. When we did our first celebration of women's voices in November, we had this dream that we would be able to do this again and again, not thinking only a few months later we'd be in Calgary doing it, so muchly appreciated. So, just really quickly, again, we do have the Snapchat filter, and so this is going to be poetry, so if you're liking what you hear, if you're feeling it, let's practice. Snap away. Don't be shy, all right? The more you snap, it's letting us, as the presenters, as the poets, know that you're really feeling it. Okay? And now.
Yeah, well, and just to add on, so some of our speakers will be discussing some things that we understand might trigger some experiences or some events, and we totally understand your mental health is first, self-love is first, so if at any time you feel the need to leave the room, feel free to do so. None of the speakers will find it rude, and we understand. I feel like there's one more thing that I wanted to add. I'll get back to it if I remember. So we're just going to get started. So actually our first speaker today is Sandeep. Yeah. So how we're going to do it is we're basically going to introduce the speakers. We're going to give you a brief bio of them, and then they will take the stage. So Sandeep is the founder of She Writes Her Story, a platform that is dedicated to raising awareness to the systemic oppression faced by South Asian women through poetry and storytelling. She Writes Her Story deconstructs the taboo topic affected by many women, such as mental health, sexual abuse, domestic violence, and much more. Sandeep is a social worker in Surrey, BC. Her professional background includes working in child protection services and serving as a project manager for an NGO in Peru. She is currently working on writing her first book, and as well as curating community events focused on celebrating women's voices. So let Sandeep take it from here.
Thank you, Helen. So my piece today, it's a conversation between a mother and a daughter. I sip cha with my mother. The first time in a long time, it is just her and I, mother and daughter. To be honest, I've avoided moments like this. Perhaps it is my own guilt, the knowing of her despair, the accepting of her silence, the indifference to her resilience. The first time in a long time, I look at her. We let our gaze apologize for the distance between us. How did I go a lifetime without losing myself in my mother's brown eyes? I'm taken back to our morning rituals as a child when mother would massage oil into my hair, work her fingers through my tangles, braid my thick mane into pigtails, adding sarma to my eyes. And I'd complain every time. Now I long for her hands to gently caress mine. I notice the wrinkles formed around her mouth, how gracefully she has aged, and for the first time I see a woman who crossed oceans for a dream to give me life, surviving the isolation of her oppression. I want to say, thank you, Mother, for birthing freedom into my lungs. Instead, I ask her to tell me a story. Daughter, I was born amidst the warm monsoon nights, but the rainy days never left my side. Your nanny used to tell me how the entire village came to mourn my birth. God will bless you with an heir next time. I was as unwanted as spoiled milk, but Amma loved me like the sweetness of sugar cane, and just like you as a child, I was the extension of my Amma's being. I'd sit next to her by the burning chula, mirroring her every motion, my non-stop chatter distracting her focus. "Jump," she'd say, when my laughter grew louder than a whisper. "The more you laugh now, the more you will cry later. Jinnai hasna, unnai rona." Mother held her untouched cup of cha close to her chest and she spoke. "My amma bore 3 sons after me, each one the pride of my family's eyes, and I, the tolerated one, made a home outside of Amma's womb, and unlike the daughters before me, who were sentenced to death by my dadi before ever breathing life into existence, I used to listen to Amma's stories, how she dreamt of her daughters, wondering what they may have looked like. Would they have had her dimples? Or Baba's hazel eyes? Amma would tell me how she fought for me. The first time she stood up to my dadi, demanding to hold me in her arms. I gave her life and she will live. This is why Amma named me Jivan God, life. And as a young girl, I would tell my Amma, I can't wait to be married so that I can be free. I think about the way she would look at me, sympathetic eyes, half a smile, the other half a sigh. Freedom doesn't belong to women like us. We will always belong to somebody else. I take a deep breath before finding the courage to ask my mother, then what does love feel like? Love. Love. Love is the pleasure my body has never known. An urge I was taught to suppress until marriage, when it no longer was a sin to arouse my body. I became a temple only for a man's desire. It is not warm rivers and blissful moans. Love is a space between my thighs used to penetrate and conquer. This is what love feels like, my dear. I hold my mother's hand, sharing the depth of my being. I feel the closeness I've yearned for. I strip away the years of repressed emotion and I tell her, Mother, there are places within me that hurt. The kind of hurting that leads to wounds, the kind of wounds cutting so deep my broken pieces scattered into scars, unfolding is the numbing of my soul. And just like you, I've become the gradual emptiness, ignoring intuition, can't sleep, can't breathe. Oh, how I used to wish I could kiss your sadness away, that your silence would turn into laughter. But did you know? Did you know your brokenness bloomed into your daughter? Does the pain look as unpretty on me as it does on you? Daughter, I was 21. The first time I covered up my bruises with excuses, convinced it was only one time. This is the last time. I swear I've had enough. Instead, I neatly folded his lies and put away the dirty laundry. The one time I collected my bags, picking up my hurting body off the same bed of lies we once used to make love. Baby, I'm sorry. It won't happen again. Until the next time when he would do it again and again. 20 years and counting. I still hear angry, impatient voices telling me to pick up the pieces. But there have been days I've fallen so hard, cold, motionless on the floor, screaming, tell me how to pick up the fucking pieces. When parts of me have been beaten, broken down, silenced to death, what remains of me are fragile bone and an empty soul. Do not ask me to pick up the pieces. because this world has shattered me whole. But here I am. Ask me how I'm still alive. And if I lie my soul bare, it will tell you. Life is going to take you to the darkest of places. You will be scared. You will be alone, but you will live. Your tears, at times, you will feel so beaten down. You will question your strength to endure anymore. But you will live. Your tears will feel like an act of defiance. And you will pray for your last breath to come soon. But you will live. Every time, you will survive. So this is a short excerpt of what to expect from my book, which I am slowly putting together. And now I'm going to invite our next performer. Parm is a Calgary-born, first-generation Punjabi. She is the author behind the Instagram account WordRx and is passionate about topics surrounding love, heartbreak, self-care, and mental health. Parm.
So before I start, I just want to take a moment to thank Sandeep and Herman for all of the hard work that I'm sure went into bringing this event to Calgary. And we're all really grateful to have the two of you here running this event. So with that in mind, I'd like to share a piece that I've written for tonight. A little brown baby girl is born in a sterile hospital room that is more pure and white than she will ever hope to be. Her parents are 7,000 miles away from their homeland and welcome her as a gift on loan kindly bestowed upon them by hypothetical future in-laws they have yet to meet. She screams and screams, and this is perhaps the most vocal and outspoken she will ever receive permission to be. She is sugar and spice and everything nice, but maybe a little more spice than sugar, because her parents, though they love her, they don't feel the need to hand out sweets like they did for her brother. One day she will be old enough to help mom, but young enough that she still can't reach the countertops. While she kneels on a chair and learns the art of creating a perfectly round roti, her brother will play outside in the sun. But she's not missing out, because she is being perfectly shaped in the same way that she learns to shape the dough. And playing outside under the hot sun, she's told, would make her skin too dark anyway. She'll grow a little older into a body she doesn't recognize, with dark hair emerging like weeds in places she wasn't expecting. Nobody told her this would happen, for we don't speak of women's bodies and what they do. We only speak of what they offer. They must be luscious and immaculately groomed gardens for the men, only after marriage, of course. So she will wage war on these weeds, and on her body as a whole. And she will raise her weapon to cut through this thick and intrusive grove, with a blade so sharp it will go deeper than intended, beyond the hair and right through to her sense of worth. Her parents will beg her to study hard. Beta, be a doctor, they'll say. Be a lawyer. You can be anything. You can be everything. Just please, don't be yourself. So she will swallow her dreams and feel them go down and boil to acid in the pit of her stomach, only for them to regurgitate and come back up as something sweet, mitta enough for the community to swallow while they sip their jaw and compare their daughters on Sunday afternoons. She might start to look around and notice that the long, thick braid trailing down her back, the one her mother so painstakingly weaves every morning, sticks out like a sore thumb. Somehow on her it is not as endearing as it was on the fair skin and green-eyed Rapunzel, On her, it is dark and coarse, messy and uninviting, and just one more foreign entity on her body that causes her shame. The weapon is raised once again, and the war continues. Mom and Dad will weep as she cuts her hair, for they don't see her just cutting away her hair, but slicing away her culture and identity. They see her taking scissors to everything they tenderly placed between folds of fabric and packed in a suitcase to bring with them to this country as souvenirs of who they are. Every strand that falls to the ground is one more piece of their home they will watch their daughter dismantle. At some point, her hair and her skirts will be deemed too short and her list of ambitions considered too long. Before every decision, her parents will ask her, "Beta, what will people think?" But they will fail to ever ask her, "Beta, what do you think?" As Western as she becomes, it's never quite enough. The brown in her is loud and unapologetic. She is competing with white porcelain dolls with button noses and rosy lips, and the harder she tries, the more she feels like an outcast. Her features scream different. She didn't need to be born in India to be a foreigner. She wears the title of Daughter of Immigrants on her back, the same way her mom wears a salwar kameez to pick her up from school while her classmates laugh and call her Paki because the non-marginalized have no need to fact-check their racism. Her first sip of alcohol happens at a party she's not supposed to be at anyway. It tastes like rebellion and freedom and independence. But that wears off quickly, and suddenly it tastes like something familiar. It tastes like guilt. And she feels it burn as it goes down, the same way she will later feel her father's burning gaze when he asks her where the hell she's been. And the same way she will feel the burn of indignation when her brother arrives home hours after her but somehow misses his interrogation. She looks across the room to see a carefree, dark-skinned boy that reminds her of her brother. Why isn't he agonizing over what his father would think? Maybe he's sipping something else. Maybe she just ordered the wrong drink. They tell her one day soon she'll marry, that she belongs to another family, one that's written in the stars. But she is an outsider in her motherland, and an outsider in her mother's motherland, too brown for the white man, too white for the brown man, and too aware of the fact that she only belongs to herself. Written in the stars? Do you mean the same stars she's been wishing on for some 20-odd years to help her find her place? And though she is to marry, she is under strict instruction to reject the touch of any man who looks her way. If one should make it through this impenetrable wall she builds, it is her fault. Even when his touch is unwanted, it is still her fault. If his fingers slip, it is because she slipped. She has spent a lifetime handing over her power and her voice, yet now she apparently holds the power to control the actions of a man who refuses to hear that voice when she says no. She tries to speak up, but the community will take an axe to any bold statements or opinions that grow from her mind. For she could be planting seeds in the fertile brains of their young daughters. They will nip it in the bud, use flames if necessary, so the forest doesn't spread. So she will learn. She will learn that if there is turmoil in her mind, she is better off keeping it there. If there is turmoil in her mind, she takes the pain out on herself. For no one will want to marry their son to someone whose head is a battleground littered with casualties. And no one will want to marry their son to someone whose arms bear the fresh pink scars that a war like this yields. It's times like this she's relieved they insist she cover up. One day she is 30 years old, with letters trailing behind her name and scrawled on degrees on the wall, spelling out the blood, sweat, and tears she poured into her community-approved dreams. But with no shiny ring on her left hand, how dare she consider herself a success? All those round rotis she learned to make seem to mean more than the fact that she is now a well-rounded person. Because without a man to eat her round roti and validate her existence, what is she other than a burden to her parents and a shame to the community? She has heard stories of the partition and the way it tore a country apart in 1947. And she can taste the pain of a divide this deep, for she has felt the bitter rift of a partition in the depths of her soul, ripping her into pieces, forcing her to choose sides in a way that is both nothing and everything like what her grandparents went through. Torn between these two worlds, they have always called her coconut. Such a clever term, brown on the outside, white on the inside. She hates this word to her core, but she always laughed through her disgust because she knows it is their version of a twisted compliment. And maybe she is just like a coconut, a fruit with its roots from exotic lands, chosen and devoured for its juice and flavor, with any and all white pieces revered for their sweet perfection, while the ugly brown hairy shell is cracked and tossed aside. But what they seem to conveniently forget is that coconuts have a shell so tough and so strong that when the ripe fruit falls to the ground from branches 100 feet high, their rough walls protect them from splitting open. So you're damn right, she is a coconut. She will think back to the stories of home her parents would recite at bedtime. Her parents who she was so sure were the enemy, but who were themselves struggling as outsiders and unsure of how to fight this very war. She will realize that the boulders she's been carrying on her back were always supposed to be stepping stones, and that the hot sun she was kept out of to keep her skin fair was never her rival, but was her power source. So through their stories, she will travel back to their motherland, and she will remember that she is a core, that she is the equal of every and any man, and she hails from descendants who died in the fires of Sati at the hands of those who were terrified of what a woman standing alone could do. And this is how she will rise from their ashes, by remembering the words of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Through women, the future generations come. From her, kings are born. From woman, woman is born. Without woman, there would be no one at all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that poem. That was amazing. So we're going to introduce our next speaker, and her name is Raveen Kaur. Raveen writes about everything from self-love to women empowerment to the things that she goes through as a woman in the Punjabi community. She's known by many people by her Instagram name, which is RK Words.
Hi everyone, I'm very happy to be here and I'm glad you guys came out as well. Today I'll be doing a spoken word for you all. This one is very close to my heart and I hope a lot of the girls in this room will be able to relate to it. So here it goes. Freedom. What is freedom? We often cry and sometimes even laugh amongst ourselves when we speak about our brown girl struggles of not being able to leave the house or canceling plans last minute because girls shouldn't be going out this much. And when we ask why, we simply get told, you can do it when you're married. So this one goes out for the girls that have been taught that their freedom lies in the hands of a man. When you tell me to wait until marriage to do the things I want to do, you put this idea in my head that marriage will give me freedom. And so I spend the first 25 years of my life dreaming about a man who's going to take me away and set me free. The marriage eventually comes, but the freedom does not. First, I belong to my parents, and now I belong to my husband. And I can't help but ask, when do I ever get to belong to me. And most importantly, I want to know, why was I taught that a man was going to give me something I should have already had on my own? So if I ever have a daughter, I will never teach her that freedom is something she needs to wait for, needs to work for, needs to struggle for. Instead, I will teach her that freedom is all that she is, from the life she chooses to live to simply the clothes she chooses to wear. You see, we give all this freedom to these men and leave our girls with false hopes and chains tied around their wings to stop them from flying to a place where they'll become too independent. And why do we do this? Why do we let the men fly above the skies, but leave our girls here on the ground, looking up, wondering what could have been if only they weren't considered somebody's daughter or somebody's sister, but rather as a human being with their own goals and their own dreams. And while I am certainly breathing, I still can't help but daydream about the moment my life will actually begin. 'Cause right now, it sure as hell feels a lot like I'm a seed buried under the dirt. But what everyone fails to understand is how women don't need men to come and help us bloom into flowers. When we are the ones who have been carrying sons for years. When we are the ones who have turned our bodies into homes for those that are now trying to tell us we have to wait before we can feel at home. Personally, I get told that I need to wait until I go to my future house if I want to go out traveling, or simple things like going to clubs and bars I can't do, because a man is not going to want to marry a woman who's experienced her life before he came in. But do you think that someone is telling my future husband he can't do something until his wife comes along? Probably not. And these men whom we give all this freedom to, some, and I repeat some, will take it, they'll use it, and they'll abuse it. And you know what happens when a man takes his freedom too far? It gets laughed off, and we get told, don't worry, boys will be boys. 'Cause you know, boys will be boys, but girls can't be girls. Because when a girl is being a girl, she shouldn't be wearing that, or dancing like that, or speaking like that. She shouldn't be out alone at night, and she certainly shouldn't be flirting with all these men. Boys will be boys, but girls can't be girls, because when a girl is being a girl, sometimes she ends up paying for it with her life. So here's the thing. I am so tired of sacrificing my desires and my freedom in exchange for some safety. Sometimes I can understand why my parents tell me to wait until I'm married. They think they're trying to protect me from a world where my sisters are getting murdered because they couldn't hold their family's honor, and from a world where my sisters are getting murdered for simply saying no. But what I can't understand is, why am I in this danger zone in the first place when I belong on this planet just as much as the man next to me does? So I will ask again, freedom, what is freedom? Because right now, it feels like I'm in a war fighting for it that's supposed to end only when I get married. But what I want to do is fight and conquer it all by myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much for reading. Our next poet is Uma. As a poet who often deals with themes of love, self-love, care, blackness, childhood, social issues, feminism, Islam, and identity, Uma has become an advocate for journeying towards resilience. In fact, in 2016, Uma published her first collection of poems and reflections on resilience and growth. Available on Amazon.ca, her book entitled Ina Kwana translates to Good Morning in Hausa. Ina Kwana follows the cycle of a 22-year-long day as comments on the struggles as a person may encounter throughout life and how these hardships may be overcome. Uma's online presence extends from Instagram, Umizzles, to Facebook. Uma.
Thanks very much. I'm going to ask you to do something. Sorry. I'm going to ask you to do something a little untraditional. I'm going to ask you to pull out your phones for a second. I'll be taking a picture of you, and it's going to be on Instagram. And in the caption, I will be posting the lyrics to this following piece. And I want you to come and sing along with me. Yes. So it's, I love all the support. So I'll take a picture right now. Is that okay? Can I take a picture of you? Yes? Okay. I'm just going to stand here so I can get as many people in as possible. Okay. Oh, wait, that's not the picture I wanted to take. There you go. Perfect. So my Instagram is Umizzles, UMIZZLES. And I'm posting the picture right now. Share. It's been shared. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you to sing along with me to the lyrics of the song. It is to the tune of Bob Marley's Redemption Song. And the reason why I chose this song is because, the reason why this song is important to me is because my parents I grew up with my parents playing the Redemption Song for me constantly as a child as a way to build resilience and to understand the goodness that comes from hope and striving and all of that. So I'm going to ask you to sing with me the parts that ask you to sing. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had were redemption songs. That's all I'm going to ask you to sing with me. Okay? Let's try that one time before I start. Okay. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had were redemption songs. Oh my God, that's so nice. That's so beautiful. I tried it once before and it didn't turn out well, so this is really reassuring. So this is called Redemptions. Oh, by the way, before I start singing, I'm not a singer, okay? So I'm not going to sing it properly. Thank you. But just sing along with me, okay? My kinfolk will stand to tell you about the time we almost died. Greedy hands reached in our homeland to pull us straight from our pride. But our hands were made strong by the hands of the Almighty. We forward in this generation, skin brown triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had were redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. They will tell you it's all our people's fault. Just know they've always been unkind. How long shall they kill our childhoods while we stand aside and look? Ooh, some say it's just a part of it. Some say it's in our holy book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom, 'cause all I ever had were redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from broken promises, none but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for the deafening threats they throw our way to bring us shame. How long shall they kill our women? How long shall they mute our pain? They'll say it's just a part of it. No one makes it out of life unscathed. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had were redemption songs, songs of freedom.
Hey.
I'm so proud of you. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really proud. That was well done. Okay. So my next piece is called Unsolicited Advice to Girls Becoming. I come from a group of people that I'm Muslim. I don't know why I said that. I'm Muslim. And girlhood is not as celebrated as it should be, I find. So these are my tips and advice for girls becoming women, becoming themselves, becoming. Okay. When your grandmother forgets your name, do not sharpen your tongue as you remind her of who you are. When the coffee shop owner down the street asks you for exotic recipes from your homeland to add to his menu, do not trip over your words as you tell him that you are 3 generations lost in Canada and that this country has been your home 75 years before you were born. When the man with years on his skin and white strings hanging from his scalp tell you that your skin looks like onyx or coal or snow or wool, do not take it as a compliment, especially if you have not given him the permission to simile your nature. You are of the earth. Let yourself be whatever color you please. When your neighbor peeps out the window, every time you approach your house with someone new, wave. When she looks at you with side glances and judgment on her face, wish her good morning with a smile on yours, because it is sunnah to be kind. When strangers on the street ask you about being hot in your jalbab, ask them if they're cold in their shorts. And if they get offended, remind them not to serve up beef if they're not willing to have a taste of it. When you walk past a Muslim and they greet you with salam, answer them. Every time. When the elderly at the masjid ask you to hand them a mushaf, a chair, prayer beads, or a rug, when they ask you to help them put on their socks, tie their shoes, or walk them to the door, do not scoff, do not hesitate, do not think about it twice, because if they could, they would do it themselves. When your grandmother forgets your name for the second time this conversation, do not sharpen your tongue as you remind her of who you are. When your mother calls you away from another episode of Attack on Titan, do not drop everything and run to her. Make haste in doing what she asks of you, and once you're done, with a soft voice, ask her if there's anything else she needs. When she says no, do not walk away without making dua for her. Rabbi aghfirli wa liwalidayya. When you realize that it has been minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years since you've looked down at your palms and called upon God, pray. Know that He has never left and will never leave. When your responsibilities build a happy home on the notches of your spine, take care of them. When they start getting heavy, take care of them faster. When they bend your back and force you to your knees, let them. Do not resist, because you are in the perfect position for prayer. When your grandmother forgets your name for the 3rd time this conversation, do not sharpen your tongue as you remind her of who you are. And the next time you feel like you need to escape, run for a minute, if that's all you can do. Run for an hour, if that's all you can do. Run for a day, if that's all you can do, but run for your life. If you need to, run for your life and run right into the arms of God, because He will know what to do with your brokenness. Be sure that by the end of it all, you are rock solid and kind like water. You'll need to foster all the kindness you can get, because as you're becoming, yellow taxi cabs will drive by your house more often than you'd like. They'll carry passengers with popular names and mild manners, and you may want to halt your life to entertain them. You may want to grow flowers to gift to them. You may want to stop and save them. You can try, but I assure you, they are not worth derailing your tracks for. When your grandmother forgets your name for the 4th and 5th time this conversation, do not sharpen your tongue as you remind her that you're her daughter's daughter, and that in light of all the years she has taught you to become, you have become the woman she admires. And when you Google the meaning of love, all you find is her. Thank you. And I have a final piece for you. This is called Personal Affirmations for the Overwhelmed.
Hey.
I'm overwhelmed. You sound like you're overwhelmed. So this is for us. Personal affirmations for the overwhelmed. I am human. I am stardust residue in woman form. I cannot be ever bright. Even the moon has its phases. I am flawed. I am capacity, capable. I am hunger, anger. I am the built-up moments between. I am tough and break-free. I'm soft and malleable. I'm conflict, but I'm not conflicted. I'm hurtful, but I'm not evil. I'm stunning, stunned, shunning, shunned. I'm tremendously, stupendously, marvelously, fantastically human. I cannot be ever bright. Even the moon has its phases, but I shall be unrelenting light. Sometimes dim, sometimes lightning strike. Thank you.
Hey.
Okay, that was really amazing. I think that was really different for me as well, especially with I was actually singing. So our next speaker is Jasleen. Jasleen is a 4th-year kinesiology student at the University of Calgary who loves to read and write in her free time. Yes, she is a Ravenclaw. She is recklessly optimistic and believes that spontaneously bursting into song and dance can fix anything. Facts. Jasleen?
So I'll just jump right into it. Learning a new language is a daunting task. There are new accents, new sounds, new words that our tongues are not used to forming. Learning the language of self-love was just as foreign a task for my tongue to navigate. When challenged with learning a new language, you need to be open to listening, speaking, receiving, giving, and so I try. I try to love myself as much as I love the world around me. But these actions do not come easily when you are not welcomed into a world that is open to loving you too. When the first words you associate with yourself are unwelcome and not good enough, and you don't even have a chance to practice speaking them because you've been silenced by those around you. I stumble through this broken language that I never had a chance to master, and I hope that my eyes can say what my mouth cannot. I'm trying, and I hope that it's enough. My greatest challenge in life has been faced every day since I was born into a world where all my grandmother wanted was a grandson in her arms. People would tell us to pray for a brother, and yet the second I stood with my hands together, I had nothing to ask for. All that came out of my mouth was gratitude for the 2 sisters I had been given. The day I gained my freedom was when I stopped treating my existence as a burden and realized I was a blessing instead. The problem is, this challenge had convinced me that I was hard to love. They'll tell you I'm sweet and charming, that I'm kind and loving, and you will listen. I will love and love and love you until you start to love me too, and then I will push you.
backing away slowly, and then running for my life. Just as you start to feel as though your heart is safe in my hands, you'll realize the grip of my fingers is loose and uncommitted, but it will be too late for you to catch yourself before you fall. You, for me, your heart into pieces. And because you never saw it coming, it'll break you. You will think of me as a storm disguised in the body of a girl who loved and loved and loved and destroyed. You thought of me as warm and inviting, like fire. But the problem with fire is that it only keeps you warm until it starts to burn you. I am the same way. I know the damage that flames leave, and I don't want to hurt you anymore. As I watch it all go up in smoke, over and over and over again, I wonder if I will ever love someone and let them love me back. You are rain. You are healing and cleansing. You are forgiving and understanding. When I search through my mind for a synonym for perfection, it is only your name that I'm willing to replace it with. And then I throw in a comma, just so I can pause and catch my breath and realize what you've done to me, because somehow you touched me without lifting a finger. And as a reader would do, I let it all sink in. But no, the story isn't over, and there's no room for an ending, and so I let it all unravel, with more and more still to be uncovered, and suddenly there's no time to think. And so it's lost all control and flow, and what started as just one idea, one fragment of an idea, has lost all control. And that fragment was the introduction of an unexpected character into the protagonist's life, and for now, let's call this character you, who happened to lack all the punctuation that was so desperately craved, and yet a piece of me was glad to let go of all structure and form and just let it all be. There's also the love I learned from the people in my life, my parents, my sisters, my friends. I look into your eyes and wonder if life has ever given you anything other than grief, if the world has done anything besides tear you down, if you have ever been shown kindness by those who raised you and those you raised. Yet only sweetness comes from your lips, as if the rim of your mouth is lined with sugar, and that is the only taste you have ever known. You spread love, and you spread it generously. Not once have you received flowers, yet the seeds you plant in the minds of those around you have blossomed into gardens. That was the only bouquet you ever needed. You were raised here, but rooted somewhere else. Yet you have always embraced your differences, rather than hiding them. You are so fiercely and comfortably yourself, so strong and yet so soft, and I can feel myself aching to be you and be with you. I stare too long in the mirror, lingering at the way the bags under my eyes highlight just how little sleep I had gotten the night before, and squinting at the reflection of the face before me. This doesn't help, because now I'm fixated on how small my eyes look. I see my nose, my blemished skin, my scrawny legs, and the hair on my arms. I close my eyes. I'm not tired. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted of feeling like I am not enough. I open my eyes slowly and start the process again, except this time I try to practice kindness. I feel silly, but I make a list just as long as the first. I see my kind eyes, my cheekbones, my long hair, my smile, and the hair on my arms. I look within. I see my mother's compassion and humility, my father's resilience and strength, my sister's kindness and loyalty, my own reckless optimism and passion. I see myself, and I think I'm starting to like her. I start doing things that make me happy and surround myself with good company. People who make me smile to myself before I go to bed or at random times of the day when I think about them. The thought of them makes me laugh when I'm brushing my teeth or when I'm out in public alone, so people think I'm either insane or madly in love. And maybe I am, because they make me feel more in love with the life that I live. But I also learned to be okay with being alone. I start spending some time on my own each day and learn to love everything about myself. I fall in love with myself and my life. I stand up straighter, and sure enough, a sense of confidence follows.
I begin to feel so sure of myself that I don't even have to say I am. The way I carry myself speaks volumes. But I also learn to be patient with myself when I don't feel that way. What better way to love yourself than to speak to the one who created you? God gave me everything, made me everything that I am, made my life the way it is, and filled it with everything that I will ever need. I am the way I am for a reason, and I begin to see that. I practice, and it takes time, but eventually the exhaustion dissipates, and I start to look forward to greeting my reflection in the morning. She may still look tired, but we're on good terms now. Thank you for joining me on my journey. I would not consider myself fluent in the language of self-love, but I've got a lifetime ahead of me to keep improving. Thanks.
Thank you, Jocelyn. The power that self-talk has is incredible. Thank you so much. So we have one more speaker before we go into intermission. And I do want to let everybody know that we will be selling merchandise right outside the store. So we have Uma, who is selling her books, Harpreet as well, and I will be selling her story t-shirts. And now, Gurpreet. Gurpreet Sangha is a second-year criminal justice student who is an aspiring law enforcement officer. Gurpreet is a fitness enthusiast who will be competing in her first powerlifting competition soon. Woo! She has a passion for bettering her community as she volunteers her time to aid victims of crime, collect donations for the homeless in Operation Warmth, and start hosting workshops for the youth of Abbotsford with the Lotus Project.
Hey guys, so I'm going to be kind of changing it up a little bit. I don't really do poetry, I'm just going to be telling you a story. I also want to say thank you to Sandeep and Harman for holding this, and I also want to give myself a shout out for taking care of Harman, so y'all are welcome. Yeah. So I'm a fitness enthusiast. I'm known as G too. I've pretty much been active my whole life. I've played basketball, rugby, MMA, boxing, and now I'm doing powerlifting. My nanny and nana, they take great pride in me being an athlete. They love how I'm trying to break barriers with Punjabi girls doing exactly what men can do. And to make sure I'm breaking these barriers, they want me to be healthy, which for us Punjabis means looking fluffy and all tucked in and everything. If I'm ever on a cut, they'll worry so much. I'll go over and this will be the exact dialogue. My nanny will look at me and be like, "Hi, tinnu ki ho gaya?" I'm like, "Nanny, what do you mean?" "Well, tu to sukki jahi hai, tere to bich jaan bhi nahi hai." Are you kidding me right now? I know they do it out of love, but it hit me a few weeks ago. Why are they so concerned with my physical health? My mom will ask me about my aches, because I am an athlete, so I get like runner's knees and all that. But she'll ask me about my aches, and she'll ask if I need a back massage, which we know for us Punjabis means lie on the ground and get your little siblings to walk on it. Why do you ask for back massages though? Or why do you ask if you've eaten today? Why doesn't my nanny ever ask me, "Hey, have you rested your mind today?" Or when I go home, why doesn't anyone ever ask me, "Do you need a head massage?" Not literally, but like a counseling session. From my interpretation, every second Punjabi immigrant has depression or anxiety. If it's so common, why doesn't anyone talk about it? I get how depression is such a huge thing. Our parents immigrated here from India to Canada. My mom didn't even know how to speak, write, read English, Punjabi, or Hindi. So obviously she's going to be forced into labor jobs. She worked in greenhouse nurseries, farms, just slaving away on Canada's soils just for a better life. It's ironic because my mom was always ready to save my ass, but she's the one that needed to be saved. My mom had a typical relationship with her in-laws. They'd blame her for everything. And they'd make my dad choose between his wife, the woman he loves, or his parents, the people who taught him how to love. So, my dad chose alcohol. He drank his sorrows away every night, getting into fights with my mother. When I was 4 years old, my bibi and baba moved in with us. I didn't know who these strangers were, but all I knew is they made my mom go through hell, which made me hate them. She blamed herself for everything, and four-year-old me didn't know how to console her. I'd just tell her, Mom, just leave it, they're assholes. They'll be gone soon, it's fine. I learned how to cope with anxiety from my mom. I taught her how to calm down. I'm 4 years old, I shouldn't even know what anxiety is. I should be playing with toys. When I was 6 years old, my mom had my little siblings, and in 2003, after giving birth to my brother, she went into postpartum depression. She needed the happy pills. Her main goal in life was to get off of them, so I'd help her. I remember this one week. It's raining and she didn't take the pill. We were driving back from Surrey, and my parents were starting to fight a little. So what ended up happening was they got into a screaming little fit. And my mom, exactly from word to word, I'm gonna die today, no one's gonna stop me. So, what'd she try to do? Jump out of a moving car. My dad in the driver's seat, my mom in the passengers, and me right behind her. My dad quickly locked the door, in fear, and I started to scream. I didn't know what was going on, I'm 6 years old. All I remember is rolling down my window, because she would slam her fist, her head against the window to break it, to jump the hell out of this fucking car. So my tiny little arms, I rolled down my window, tiny little arms, trying to hold the passenger's door closed, just so she couldn't die. Screaming, Mom, you can't, are you serious? I'm 6 years old, I'm not a woman yet. I don't have a mother. How am I supposed to become a mother then? I remember trying to look past my tears, screaming for help. The tears camouflaged in with the rain that was hitting my face as if I were mourning the loss that had already happened. 6-year-old me didn't know what to do. I should be playing games, not making sure my mom wouldn't kill herself. She's depressed. Depression's a killer. As the years went on, I helped my mom get off the pill. We tried cycles. So I'd get her taking the pill every second day, every third day, every fourth day, and then finally it was gone. The pill was gone. She was so happy. Sorta. She was happy to get off of it. And those stupid little pills, the different dosages for depression, they all sit in our medicine cabinet, just a line there. Every time I open it, I just want to rip this cabinet apart. It almost killed my mother. I was 18 years old when my baby passed away. We lost her to cancer. It's a death that couldn't be prevented. My BBG was my Bubba's everything. When my baby died, a part of my Bubba died with her. He'd isolate himself. We told him, you need to stop this. You're going to fall into this bad phase of depression. Go to India. Go to your motherland where you'll be happy. So March 28th, 2016, he booked his ticket to India. 25th came on. He was fine. 26th came on, fine. 27th, he went missing. He wasn't answering any of his calls. And I went into his bedroom, I saw his wallet and his cell phone there. This is weird to me. He never leaves home without his wallet or cell phone. That's when I knew. He's dead. My heart sinks. How do I tell my parents and siblings we just lost 2 grandparents in less than a month? We called our family to do a search. We went to gurdwaras, went to stores, everywhere. No sign of him. I get a phone call from my dad. He tells me, Gurpreet, come to the farm shed. And I knew what was happening. I shoved my mom into the car, shoved my siblings into the house, locked them up and run, and I speed away. I go to the second farm, open the shed door, and there he is. There sits my Babaji, lying against my dad's feet. His skin yellow, his lips a dead lilac color, and his eyelids just slightly open, just enough to see that his eyes are rolled back. Down his lips drips a black substance, and right away I knew he drank a killer for bugs. It was a chemical. There's 3 unstable people in this room is all I could interpret. There was my mother, who was starting to have a panic attack at this point. There was my dad, who seemed like he was fine, but he wasn't. You're holding your dad and he's dead. How can he be fine? And then there was my Baba, dead or alive, I'm not sure, but he wasn't well. I'm 18. I should be worried about how I'm doing in school, traveling, not about whether my family will live. Growing up, I've always worried. No one should worry about whether their mom's going to be coming back from grocery shopping. She would leave the house, and every single time I'd have to keep an eye out at the window just to make sure she would come. Always scared that she's not gonna. Or when my dad went to work to go to the taxi, always scared that, hey, he's not gonna come back. One day he's gonna jump off of a bridge. Or even after my Baba did end up surviving, just to lighten the mood. He actually puked out the pesticide chemicals, which saved him. But after that, after he got out of the psych unit for attempting suicide, just worrying that he's gonna kill himself again, or even worse, maybe kill one of us. For those who know or have a mental health disorder themselves, you know where I come from and you know where I'm speaking from. Especially in our Punjabi community, it's such a huge issue. But yet we have this stupid stigma around it that it's a disease. And that's where I question it. Why? Why is it a disease? Why can't we openly talk about it? If we did, we will have more resources this way. And that's why I encourage you, if you know someone or have it yourself, talk about it. It'll prevent our fathers and brothers from turning to alcohol, and our mothers and sisters from domestic, emotional, and mental abuse. Thank you.
Thank you, Gurpreet. That was so touching, and I know how hard it can be to be so vulnerable, especially talking about mental health, but I thank you for that, because that is the kind of conversations we need to start having. So we're going to have a 15-minute intermission, and we'll see you guys back soon. Thank you.